that you want to discuss?
Well, I want to discuss whether or not we have any jurisdiction.
I think if you're talking about a new build accessory structure, you don't have jurisdiction.
So, based on what council is saying, there's no need for a public hearing because we have no jurisdiction. So, somebody has to communicate with them and let them know that they don't have to come before us. Am I correct in my thinking?
Well, except for one thing. What about the business with the fence? You know, there's a new build of the pool house, but we haven't approved the fence.
Correct, so it still needs the approval.
Okay.
I mean, does the fence? I mean, it's not a fence directly in front of the storage structure. I mean, right?
Well,
No, it's at the street. It's along the street.
Yeah,
In front of the building, though, right?
The fence is in the driveway, which is just to the left of the house.
Okay, then yes. Okay.
yeah, and it extends in front of the building behind the hedge.
Okay.
Yep, so that's the fence. That should be very short. That should be quick. The
So the
second
only
one
thing we have jurisdiction over at this point is that fence, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
So the owner needs to know that we do have jurisdiction over the fence that they want to put in. We need to have a public hearing on that. It needs to be put into the paper, and that could be a relatively short one. The other one is Bertalt, and I would anticipate that would be lengthy, and I anticipate that there will be a lot of public comment on that one. So I think we would need to be prepared for a rather lengthy public hearing. Now, don't forget the other thing, and advise me on this, council. We can carry on. We can say, look, we've had a half an hour of a public hearing. We're going to continue it to next week or whenever.
Yes,
So we don't have to go on ad nauseum. We can stop it at some point and say, look,
we can keep it open and adjourn it to another date.
yeah. So we don't have to go on forever. So the question again is, do we want to try to knock off 3 at a meeting, thinking that the one on Skippers might be brief? Weinraub and Duffy.
they're in a situation.
What's up with
My sense was that we were kind of pleased with what we were looking at with them. So that could be relatively short. There might be some public comment. And I think the Bertalt one, I think there's going to be a lot of public comment.
Do the Bertalt one last.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, perfect.
Tracy, you said they're in a situation.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they have to live outside the house because the flood damage. They're living to get back in the house.
Yeah, well, we understand that, but
Right.
we're under certain constraints ourselves,
Right.
and we have other people that have been waiting in the queue as well. We're trying our best to accommodate folks.
Put
That might
Bertalt
work.
last.
I
Yep,
think
perfect.
what I would suggest is for that meeting, we have nothing else on the agenda. Just have the 3 public hearings.
That's fine.
Works for me.
Everybody
Okay.
in agreement on that?
So I thought we also had a work session that day too.
Yes. It'll be a long afternoon, no question about it.
We'll only do 2 in the work session. I'll try to only put 2 in the work session.
Is one of those going to be
That would be
language
better.
for 170?
For what we just heard?
No, language for 170.
Oh, in the work session?
Yeah.
No, I meant we have pre-submissions. That's
No,
what
but I mean, we need a work session on that too.
that we could do separately. I mean, we could do that any day if people can get together. That we don't have to have all these announcements and everything. If you want to go back to the calendar, we can put in a work session strictly for that.
Right, and isn't the hearing on that on the 22nd, John?
That is on the existing amendment that we did way back in February.
I think what we're trying to do, based on conversations, John, with you and back and forth with Robert and several other ones, that we're trying to get a little bit more meat into this
Right.
one. So that
I mean, we can't change that. We can't change that amendment. So I mean, the only option would be to withdraw it altogether.
Okay, I think, Ted, you in?
Got here.
I think we ought to talk about that a little bit more amongst ourselves, what we really need to do and when we need to do it.
Well, I'm going to defer to Robert because Robert is the person who took this challenge on. Can you hear us, Robert?
Now I can, yes.
Okay. We're talking about the amendments to 170
Right.
and the language and the timing. And I'm confused by it, to be very honest with you. I don't know what we should do at this point, except that we have looked at what Robert proposed. My sense was that we were all in agreement with that. I don't know that we've ever actually voted as a commission to say to John, this is the language that we want. My recall is, and I could be wrong, that we said, John, would you please draft the language? Now, whether or not we voted on it, I don't recall, to be very honest with you.
I don't think we did vote on
Which
it.
language are we talking about?
Well, first of all, John, I've asked you several times, what does this amendment look like? And to this moment, I have no idea what you're going to be proposing before the town board.
I sent you an email today with it. Do you have it? I can post it right now.
I'm not at home right now. I got here, I've got crazy stuff going on around me. I made a Herculean effort just to be here. But this has been going on since January. And I don't know.
Yeah, this is what's on now is what we discussed in January.
Can I finish?
Sure.
Thank you. I've been asking, what's the content of this amendment for quite a long time.
Right.
I still do not know what it is that you're proposing.
Okay, finish.
If it is what you proposed before, the commission did not vote on that. We've said to you several times, we don't want to go halfway. We want to make this into something where we either ask for it and don't get it, or we're sunk anyway. So I've given you language. If the thing that you're proposing at this public meeting is not that, then I suggest to all the commissioners we withdraw whatever that is and replace it with what I think is going to work better.
John,
Well, Robert has.
finish, Rob?
Does it look like I'm finished?
I don't know.
Robert, you
I don't know.
have to take a look at what John sent you first and foremost.
I can share it. I can share the language.
Can you read it to me? It's like a sentence, right?
No, it's an extensive change to several sections of the code that would grant us jurisdiction over new builds on previously on historic properties where there was a knockdown. I'm going to try to share it for everybody. We had extensive conversations regarding this, and we also went to the town board at a work session with regard to this very thing.
That's right.
Okay, so what was presented was the exact thing that you yourself presented to the town board.
Then can you read it to me?
All right, I'm just trying to share it.
I just want to ask one question, though. With the new builds on a historic property, would that also include accessory structures?
It does not. That is a new issue that came up recently.
Yeah, because that seems to be a huge problem.
I think that's something that we also need to deal with, and I agree with
Okay,
that.
all right.
Let's let John read the language to us, so
Just
we're all on the
bear
same
with me
page.
a minute. I gotta get
While
to
he's
this
finding
thing.
it, have we all read what I proposed, which is one sentence, and it would give us jurisdiction over any new build, shed, garage, it doesn't matter, any new build on a historic property or within a historic district. It covers everything. It's one sentence. Has everybody read it?
I've read it.
I have, you know.
Do you,
And with regard to that, I sent to everyone a proposal with that drawn out.
I don't understand
In
drawn
the
out.
last couple of days, in the last 2 days, I took your changes and incorporated them into the law, and then sent out a copy of what that would look like.
Why would it look different from what I sent you?
Well, because it has to be worked into the law. There's no one sentence change to a several page section of the code. I mean, it's a fairly significant undertaking that actually, completely changes the whole code. So I mean, we have to make a lot of changes.
Okay,
Or else it won't read.
I mean,
Now, I am more than happy to do that, but to describe it as a one sentence change, it just isn't correct.
no, because Robert, there are parts of the law, and I think John is right here, where, in further clauses along the way, he has to keep reiterating new build, and so it was important for him to put that in. I understand where John's coming from here, to just make it thorough and, make sure that we haven't left it out of certain sections of our code.
This
You've
whole-
got two different issues here. Yeah, but John, just so that we're clear, you've got our intention, as Robert stated, and then you've got the mechanics, the legal mechanics of
Yes.
how it has to be done.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Which I
And
understand.
that is not a problem. That can be done. That would simply need town board approval, and you'll have to pitch it to the town board and see if they will pass that. My understanding, especially based upon past questions to the board, is that they will not.
Why wouldn't they, if we're just asking to beef our position up so that we can protect the historic districts?
Because what is the result of what you're doing, which I don't disagree with in any way, but you are going to involuntarily place people under the purview of the Historic Preservation Commission. And I don't know that the town board has the stomach to do that right now.
Were you at the meeting with the town board that Ted and I attended?
I was at a meeting with the town board that Ted and you attended.
John was there. He sat to my right.
I don't recall that he was there. I recall
he
Mr.
was-
Duffy.
he was-
The three of us were at a meeting. I don't know if we were at the meeting that you're referring to, but we were at a meeting.
Okay,
August did the presentation. The three of us were there. I remember it very clearly.
This
Okay,
was post Skipper's Lane.
For Corona.
Would this be an appropriate time to go over this line by line? I'm
No,
willing to.
we have to be off of this by 5:30. There's a meeting after.
While I have you here, do you see the document that I have shared?
Yes.
That is what is up on September 22nd.
Honestly,
That's
I
the,
can't-
John, is that the public hearing?
That is the code that is up for a public hearing. That is the code that was taken to the town board. That is the code that we've gotten tacit approval from the town board on.
So there will be an announcement that there's going to be a public hearing on.
There already has been an announcement. The public hearing is set for September 22nd.
And
Okay.
if there's no public comment, the town board will then approve this?
One would believe, yes. There's no reason to believe that they won't. This is the section that says that would give you jurisdiction over a new build in a situation like we had with Skippers.
Which is part of what we're asking for.
Yes, which is part of what you're asking for, yes.
Right. Does that include the 640 skippers? Does it include a pool house? Does it include a garage?
It does not.
So this only really applies to one situation, which has already happened.
Well, it would apply to the same situation if it happened again.
But that's not the situation that keeps happening. We have a pool house. We have.
I understand what you're saying, and that would have to be a separate change.
How soon after this change can we ask for that change?
You can start it right afterwards.
So it could be a matter of a couple of weeks to a month or so before we get that.
It'd be a minimum 2 months, but yes.
Minimum 2 months.
You know what we're going to lose in that 2 months?
Yeah, we're going to lose that pool house.
Well, whatever we do is going to be a minimum 2 months. So whatever we're going to lose, we're going to lose.
Well, if we had something we wouldn't lose on the 22nd, that would make a big difference.
That's fine. If we had pitched something like that to the town board, then we'd have it. But here we are today without it.
I pitched the first part to the town board.
The town board never agreed to putting people under the HPC without their approval. That never happened.
They agreed to the first part of it about new bills because it was something that was left out. The second part,
The new bills are in this statute.
Okay.
but it doesn't include a pool house. It doesn't
It
include.
does not include an accessory structure because the issue of accessory structures didn't come up until last week.
Look, you're playing semantics, and you know
I am not playing anything.
you are.
I am not.
This is
You never, ever mentioned to me accessory structures. And if accessory structures came up for the first time with this pool house, and at that time we all said, wow, do we have jurisdiction over an accessory structure? And I agree with you that we do not. And we now have to make an amendment. But it was never explained that this is to cover accessory structures explicitly, and that is not what happened. That is not what you pitched to the town board.
Yeah, you're mistaken. You really.
All right, listen, I have a question that's relevant.
Well,
here, John.
I would ask you to produce one singular document that you have ever sent to me that says that you want accessory structures included in the statute.
The one I just sent you.
No.
No,
Wait, I'm just
this happened in February.
Can I intervene, please, quickly? I don't, Robert, what is going to the board now is pre-COVID discussions. This is prior. That's the lag they're at. That's how far the board is behind. So in order to get something, I mean, everyone can withdraw it if they want. But the statement is from March that was on the table, got removed, and then they brought back what pre-existed. Now, if you want to change it and take it off and move forward without this amendment, I don't think it's wise, but I'm just looking at it outside because it does take long. At least you have that in case someone does want to demo a house within the next 2 months. At least it can't be happening. You know, if they do, at least you have jurisdiction on it, and now presents more
You have
changes
jurisdiction on demolitions. It's in the code.
after.
Rebuilds after demolitions.
Yeah. See, this is what was said prior.
How is
That's
this
the
going to help?
problem.
I don't see how that would even help in that situation.
Well, Robert, it would help for us to have a jurisdiction over vacant lots in the historic district on which something could be built right now. That would be helpful.
This amendment would not do that.
No, it
It
won't.
would not do that.
No,
Oh, God.
it doesn't gain us anything. What's the point?
Well, I don't know that you have right now. You don't have jurisdiction over vacant lots.
We have jurisdiction over tear downs, and
Right.
if we grant a
Right,
tear
you have a
down,
jurisdiction over tear down, and now the house that you have jurisdiction over is gone, and you don't have jurisdiction over the rebuild
Yes.
until they pass what I wrote.
that's right. And if we
So
don't
that
want
is
that
what
to
you're
happen,
getting.
if we don't want that to happen, we don't allow a demolition. So we
Okay,
do
great.
Yeah.
Just like we did with skippers.
Right, and we did it.
Yep.
What you're saying is this would not cover if it's a vacant lot or if it's a tear down.
No.
No.
I'm
So-
saying it would not cover it as a vacant lot. I'm saying it specifically would cover it if it was a tear down.
Right.
What I'm
So-
saying is that there should not be any vacant lots on the list. Vacant lots are not historic.
But there is one on the list, as you know.
I know there is, and I don't know how it got there.
Well, that's the bigger issue, is having jurisdiction over everything that's within the
I agree with you 100%, but
Right.
that's
And
not,
that-
that's not what we've done yet.
That's what Supervisor Russell said. We need to have a meeting with the public. That was the second part of this whole thing. The first part
And
was-
Supervisor Russell, I mean, we met with him a long time ago, and he understood